Welcome back, dear students. Though today's biology class we are discussed about the another very interesting and general concept in organism and population. In last classes we already discussed the biotic components and major abiotic components. The major abiotic components like temperature, water and soil, detailed analysis we are discussed in last class. Let us, the today's class, we know that how these organisms given response to those abiotic components. And those organisms what we going to call. Like that the some easiest general concept we are studied in this class. So what is that? The heading will be given the response to abiotic factors or abiotic components. So how the organisms given response? There are three types of organisms they are mentioned based on the response. The first organism is called as a regulators, and second one is called as a partial regulators, and third one is nothing but a conformers. So these regulators, partial regulators and conformers are based on the response how these organisms gives to the abiotic components. Just see, they are given here one graphical representation. In this graphical representation, they are mentioning the two environmental conditions. The one environment condition that is called as a external level, that is nothing but a external conditions or environment condition or climatic conditions, and second one internal level. Internal level means within the body, inside the body. So when any temperature or water or any soil or any other factor, if it is enter into our body, for best example you can take as a heat. So heat will be maximum more than 40 degrees Celsius, then how we are given response in that situation. So like that internal body regulation is also very important based on the which one? External body regulations. So that's way this is external level and this is the internal level. Just come to here, the three types of the organisms are here. The first, the constant range. So this is, we know that this is called as a regulators. See the regulators, how they are external level and internal level, how they are going to give the response, one thing. Second one is that this is, see, up to this one extent will be coming line and again it will be momenting change in a one level. That's type of the organisms we call it is a partial regulators. And another one, see, this straight line is going on. This line not linked with internal level and also not linked with external level, and those type of organisms are called as a conformers. Based on this graphical representation only we are going to analyze what are these. Those are nothing but the first one is that regulators. Just come, what is regulators? See, the many species have evolved a relatively constant internal temperature that allows all the biochemical reaction to proceed with maximum efficiency. Efficiency meaning is that energy, capacity, maximum capacity. Just see, the many species have evolved a relatively constant internal temperature. Means regulators have the constant internal temperature. Just think, see about here, it become as a constant. How the external level is going to production is going on, based on that this internal level also given response in a exactly constant manner. How much capacity is there, that much capacity the organism given response to the external level. So like that. So that's why this constant internal temperature only called as a homeostasis. Homeostasis is nothing but the regulation of constant internal body temperature based on the external temperature. How the external temperature is going on? Like that only the state, the internal body temperature also become a response. So these type of the organisms are called as a regulators. Means just think one word, regulators have the constant body temperature based on the external abiotic factors. So that's why maximum efficiency means they are going to allow all the biochemical reactions. All the biochemical reaction which takes place in the internal body conditions as enzymatic reactions or hormone reactions or all metabolic reactions. These are all going on based on the external body conditions. So those are called as a regulators. Then come next one, see partial regulators. Partial means 50%, half. It means these organisms gives up to the some extent they are given response to the external level condition. As you know that temperature or water or heat or soil or any other abiotic factors, they must be given up to their limit. Just come what they given statement here. Just see. These try and regulate their internal environment by physiological or behavioral means they are going to try and regulating means they are not always become constant given response to the external level conditions, means they try to given response. Why? Means they must be have the efficiency in that extent. Their capacity should be in that extent, up to that extent they are given response. If it is goes on their limit, then they do not give any responses. That's way, see up to one extent they are given response, up to this extent, and it will be beyond the limit, then they are not going to give the response, then they are become as a constant. Just see. So beyond a certain limit, they just conform to the external environmental conditions. See how it is, means regulate their internal environment by physiologically or behavioral means, but beyond a certain limit. This word is very important here. If you want to understood the partial regulators, it must have the one limit. On that limit, it must gives the response. If the limit is exceed, then these are not given the response. That's why, dear students, so those type of the organisms we call it is a partial regulators. But regulators are not like that. If it is goes to 40 degrees Celsius temperature, then also the organism given response. If it is less to the 15 degrees Celsius, then also these are given the response. That's why they are always become a constant, but not like the partial regulator. Up to the some extent they are given response, and if it is exceeded, then they are becoming almost all nil. So that's why, dear student, partial regulators have a certain limit. They just conform to the external environment conditions. So these type of the organisms are called as a partial regulators. Then come the another type of the organisms, we know that conformers. What are these conformers? These conformers, these are those organisms which change their body temperature according to the medium they inhabit. Just think about, these are not related with the external level conditions, means whatever may be the temperature is goes or increase or decrease, but they must be present in their habitat and give response to the external level. See what they given statement here, these are those organisms which change their body temperature, which change their body temperature according to the medium they inhibit. Inhibit means they are present, where they are in living conditions, where they are live. In that situation, how the temperature regulation, based on that regulation mode, they gives the response, and these type of organisms are called as a conformers. Just think about here. The line is goes on, state increases. It is not coming in downside, it is not coming on this side as a internal level. So that's way exactly middle it will be going, means it must give the response to the external level of abiotic factors. The next point, they do not have any internal mechanism to regulate and no energy spent. Means almost they do not have any internal mechanism. Internal mechanism meaning is that condition is called as a homeostatic condition. How homeostatic means? I am going to tell you one example. If external level is become more cold, then what about our internal body temperature? If it is continuously goes on cold, means both cold means it will be critical conditions. Our body must be regulated to the external body temperature. So that's way when it is outside cold, our body internal temperature is becoming heat, hot conditions. If it is inside cold, then external level condition is become hot. So this type of regulatory mechanisms are called as a homeostatic. Those homeostatic are given by the organisms. What are those? Regulators. But conformers not like that. Where they are present in that habitat, how the climate condition is there, like that they are given the response. If it is more cold, that they are also given response to the cold condition. If it is more hot, then they are given almost response to the hot situations. Like that organisms are those are called as a conformers. So these are the three types of the organisms which gives the response to the abiotic factors. Just think about, dear students, here how the regulators have the constant internal body temperature. They must give the response based on the external level. How the partial regulator give the response, but in a certain limit. They are also given response to the abiotic components, but in a certain limit. That limit of external level, it will be exceeded, means then they are not given the response. This is the second one. Conformers, how it is, where they are present in that habitat, how the external condition is there, based on that they give the response. So these are called as a conformers. Okay, so this is the idea about the response to the abiotic factors, like regulators, partial regulators, this one and this one, conformers. And some other organisms also there. If the stressful situation is coming in a habitat, then what they are going to do? Just think about here. We are having up to the 30 or 35 degrees Celsius temperature. We have a okay conditions. Okay, our condition is good. If it is exceeded more than 40 degrees Celsius temperature, then what about our body temperature? What about our situation? We are almost all more heat will going to produces in our body. Then this type of the situation is called as a stressful situation. Based on this stressful situation, there are some different type of organisms give the responses, and those responses are called as a first one migration, second one suspension, and third one is that diapause. So these three conditions based on the stressful situations. Just already you know about this word. What is this? Migration. Migratory. Migration means in Kannada we call it is a valase hogudu. From one place to the another place, the organisms started to moving. Why they are started to moving? Because of that habitat, it must be stressful to their conditions. So because of that reasons, they move from one place to the another place. Either it is in the sense of food or shelter or climatic conditions. Just we see what is this meaning of migration. Simple is that the organisms move away from the stressful conditions in the habitat to another habitat. Yes, simple. The movement of organism from one place to the another place, from one habitat to the another habitat, due to the food condition, due to the water conditions, due to the climatic conditions or shelter conditions. So this is the common definition of the migration, but that situation must be stressful to those organisms, then only they are going to do migration. Best example is that birds are migrate from one place to the another place, but these are called as a seasonal way because of their breeding purposes. They are moving condition, because of hot conditions they are moving conditions. So like that, so many birds, fishes, the best example in the fishes is called as a salmonella eel. This eel fish will be migrate from south to north and east to west. But when they are migrated, condition is there more. One is that breeding or food or water or climatic conditions. So here they are going to give the stressful situations. Those stressful situations based on the climatic conditions. So that's way. So this migratory organisms also face some problems to the external abiotic factors. So those are migration. Then come to the second one, suspension. What is this suspension? Those organisms which do not migrate suspend their metabolic functions during stressful condition. Yeah, this is exactly opposite of migratory organisms. Migratory organisms do not face those stressful situations in their habitat, but suspension organisms, they must be face that critical condition, critical situation in that habitats. So those organisms are called as a suspended organisms. Means these organisms which do not migrate, they cannot be migrates even though stressful situation. Suspend their metabolic functions. Yeah, they continue to there only. They are present and they start their metabolic functions, all functions which is takes place in the internal body conditions. As you know that digestion or hormonal regulation or enzymatic reactions or catabolism reaction or anabolism reaction which is takes place in the internal body, those all reactions are moving or started even though in the stressful situations. So those type of the organisms are called as a suspension. Best example, there is a two type conditions are there, hibernation and estivation. Dear students, you must remember this hibernation. Hibernation is commonly called as a winter sleep, and estivation is nothing but a summer sleep. See, the word is here winter sleep and summer sleep. These are the two seasons. In those seasons, how the organism give response. Hibernation, winter. If winter will be happens means it becomes a more cold conditions. And these organisms are given response to the cold conditions also. So those type of the organisms are called as a hibernation. Best example you can talk about the bat, that we know that flying mammal, and we human beings, even in the cold situation, even in the rainy seasons, even in the summer season, our body must give the response. So that type of the organisms are called as a hibernation condition organisms. And another one is that estivations. In zoology, we know that estivation is nothing but in summer sleep. Summer sleep means these organisms give the response in the hot conditions. Means these are not tolerate in the hot conditions, but they must be suspended. They must be give the responses even though in the temperature will be more. Those type of organism or that situation is called as a estivation. Estivation is nothing but a summer sleep. Okay, they are going to modify their body during the when the summer sleep or winter sleep. So that type of the regulation is going on in the hibernation and estivation. These are the two best examples in the suspension. Means even though in the stressful situation, those organisms give the response, those are called as a suspension organisms. Then come another, they are given condition. What is that? Diaphos. What is this diaphos? Where it is takes place? See, it is a stage of suspended development by certain zooplanktons of ponds and lakes, even though under unfavorable conditions. Certain organisms, we are just discussed here the organisms which are present on land surfaces, terrestrial areas. But what the organisms which are present in the ponds and lakes, nothing but water bodies, those are also facing some situations, stressful situations. So in those stressful situation condition only called as a diaphos. Diaphos meaning it is a stage of suspended. Suspended means they must give the response even though in stressful situation. Okay, suspended development by certain, what are those? Zooplanktons. So those microorganisms, those organisms which are present in water, that's the animals. There are two types will be coming. One is that phytoplanktons, another one is that zooplanktons. Zooplanktons related to the animals, phytoplanktons related to the plants, those present in water bodies. Those also face the problem to the abiotic factors, but this gives the response even though under which situation, that is unfavorable conditions. If that condition is not good to them also, in that situation also they give the responses. So those type of the organisms we call it is a diaphos organisms, or that process is called as a condition is called as a diaphos. What is diaphos? It is a stage of suspended development by certain zooplanktons of ponds and lakes during unfavorable conditions. That condition is not favorable to their body. In that situation also they give the response. It is also a best example of the suspension. So this is the idea and concept about the response of organisms to the abiotic factors. These are the some different criteria are there. Those criteria how the organism give response. Like that concept is going on in this one. So this is the idea and concept, and maybe it will be asked for you for 5 marks question only for these three. Response to abiotic factors, if they are asked means you must go for graphical representation, and next explain those criteria, nothing but regulators, partial regulators and conformers. Okay na? And it will be very easy for you. What is this? Migrations. Migration already you know that how it is, and somewhat suspension also coming. In the suspension there are two methods are there, examples hibernation and estivation. So many times they are asked these ones, hibernation and estivation. So almost all amphibians are doing these ones, estivation, as a frog, toad, okay, and this is bat is there, human beings are there, and here example you can take another lizard is there, tortoise is there. So these are all coming under the estivation. And finally for one mark question, suppose they are asked the example of what is the meaning of diaphos. So, this is the today's class. We know that what is the response the organism given to the abiotic factor. In next class we coming along with the new concept. Okay, dear students, thank you.